Now, if you ask anybody in the streaming community, what's the most powerful streaming device? What device should I buy? In most cases, people will tell you to buy the Nvidia Shield. Now, I would personally say that if you're not interested in gaming or cloud streaming or game emulation, then you're really missing some of the key benefits of the Nvidia Shield. And maybe for you, a device like the second generation Fire TV Cube, which is light years faster than any of the Firesticks, has that 16 gigs of onboard storage, has that hex-core processor. A device like that may actually be much better for you, especially when you factor in when it goes on sale, it becomes round about $70. So in this video today, let's quickly put both these devices head to head. I'm not going to waste any time looking at specifications or benchmarks. I just want to show you in real life tests, like for example, Wi-Fi speed tests, Ethernet speed tests, opening up applications, which device actually is better for you. So please do take a moment to hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So with all of that being said, let's get started. If you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with the latest tech tutorials, the latest Firestick, Android and Android TV tips and tricks, then please do subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's a small click from you, but it makes a big difference to me. Thank you. Application opening speed time. So here's a very popular application. We can see both are running version 19. So I'm just going to press the start button at the same time. I can just confirm that both these have been full stopped. So they're not running in the background. So I'm just going to start them at the same time. So 3, 2, 1. Let's see what... Okay, so the Fire TV Cube was maybe 2 seconds faster than Nvidia Shield. Let's close this down. Let's do that again. So again, I'll make sure the application is full stopped. So full stop, full stop. And I'll actually show you that I will be launching these at the same time. So 3, 2, 1. Again, we can see that the second generation Fire TV Cube does load the application about 2 seconds quicker than the Nvidia Shield Pro. And for the final test, so 3, 2, 1. So yeah, so we can clearly see that the second generation Fire TV Cube does load the application about 2 seconds faster than the Nvidia Shield Pro. Okay, so that's the application there. Let's back out of that. So that's the first application, and we can see that the Fire TV Cube was actually faster in opening that. Next up, we have another popular application, and we can confirm once again that they are the exact same version. So let's now start them up. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so the Shield had the slight edge with that one. And let's close that out. Okay, let's launch them again. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so definitely the Shield has about a 1 second lead versus the Fire TV Cube. And the final test, so 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so the Shield wins for launching this particular application by only about a second. Let's now try Netflix. Okay, so Netflix launch test, so 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so the logo came up first for the Shield. And which one shows me the profiles? Okay, so that's even closer, but the Shield did have a slight edge there. Let's force close that. Okay, test number 2 for opening Netflix. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so that's also the Shield, but it is actually very, very close. And the final test for Netflix, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so it looks like the Shield has won the Netflix opening test as well. But again, only by a split second. That's now gone in. Let's back out of Ethernet test. Now, the Fire TV Cube unfortunately doesn't have an Ethernet port built in, but because it does have a micro USB port, we can use an OTG cable and then plug a USB Ethernet adapter in. Now, even though the Ethernet adapter is a gigabit, because the USB 2 port is only USB 2.0, we are limited to about 450 megabits of actual speed that we can achieve. So let's try that now. So test number 1 on the Amazon Fire TV Cube using that Ethernet adapter, we're getting around about 239 meg downstream. That's test number 1. Test number 2 is also similar, so again around about the 220 mark. I mean, to be fair, as long as you can get 40 or 50 meg downstream, then that's more than enough even for 4K streaming. Now, the reason why people typically prefer Ethernet over Wi-Fi is just because with Ethernet you get that consistent, reliable connection, whereas with Wi-Fi, things like interference or how far your device is from the router or router can all affect your speed. Okay, so test number 2 was 231 as well. Okay, in the last test we have around about 250 megs, so they're the 3 speed tests with Ethernet on the Amazon Fire TV Cube. Let's now jump over to the Shield, and as you guys know, on the Shield you do get that dedicated gigabit Ethernet port. So this is test number 1, and we're seeing much higher speeds. We're actually seeing over 500 meg, and my current speed is actually around about 500 meg, so I'm getting more or less my maximum speed with my current internet provider. Okay, so test number 1, we have 534 meg downstream, so that's more than double what we had on the Fire TV Cube. Test number 2, we have over 500 again, so I mean, you can't deny that, you know, having a physical Ethernet port is just always going to be better, light years ahead of having adapters and converters and OTG cables. Okay, so we can say comfortably that the Shield completely destroys the Fire TV Cube in the Ethernet speed test, but in reality, as I said, long as you can get, you know, 50-60 meg downstream, that's more than enough even for 4K streaming. Okay, so that's the Ethernet test. Let's now jump over to 5 GHz Wi-Fi. So test number 1 on the Fire TV Cube with 5 GHz Wi-Fi. Okay, so first test we have 221 meg downstream on Wi-Fi. Let's go to test number 2. So it's actually very similar to my Ethernet test, but as we've seen that my actual internet service provider provides around about 500 megs, so with 5 GHz Wi-Fi, I'm only getting about half of that speed. So test number 2, we're pushing about 145 downstream. And test number 3 is 133 meg downstream, which is actually quite low considering that I have more closer to 500 meg with my ISP. And people have actually left me comments in the past saying that they always have inconsistent speeds with Wi-Fi on their Fire TV Cube. Okay, let's try this on the Shield now. Again on 5 GHz Wi-Fi. Okay, test number 1 with the Shield, we had 264 meg downstream. Test number 2 is also around about 260, so Shield seems to be very consistent both on Ethernet and also on Wi-Fi. Okay, so I think it's clear to see that the NVIDIA Shield beats the second generation Fire TV Cube both on Ethernet and also Wi-Fi speed test. Next up we have some PSP emulation on these two devices. I'm playing the same game, which is Wipeout Pure. Let me see if I can start them up. Now you can just see the frame rate on the top right. Now of course, as you guys know, the NVIDIA Shield really excels at gaming, uses the Tegra X1 chip, which is the exact same as the Nintendo Switch. We can see in terms of performance, guys, you can see that the NVIDIA Shield is very, very smooth. That's not to say that the Cube is terrible. If I just play this on its own for a second. So yeah, it looks pretty nice. Looks fairly smooth. I'm just using a Bluetooth controller, and overall I'd say the performance is pretty good, and we can see frame rate wise it's not really dropping that much. But in terms of smoothness, you can see if I just jump over to the Shield just looks that little bit nicer, that little bit smoother. But then to be fair, if you're paying £200 for a streaming box, which is, you know, designed for game streaming, for more heavier duty emulation, then yeah, it is, you know, to be expected. Okay, so wrapping this up, what are my closing thoughts about these two systems? Well, we've seen now, guys, that the Fire TV Cube is definitely a very powerful device, and especially when you factor in that price point of £60 or $100, which is half the price of the NVIDIA Shield. And for those day-to-day tasks like running applications, running the streaming applications, it can easily keep up with the NVIDIA Shield. Now, if you're not interested in heavy-duty gaming or heavy-duty emulation, and you don't want to run a Plex server, and at the same time you want a more powerful device than the 4K Firestick, well, the Fire TV Cube will give you 16 gigs of onboard storage. It also allows you to expand the storage without typing in any manual ADB commands. It runs Android 9, and if you do want to talk about specifications, then as you can see on the screen right now, the Fire TV Cube completely destroys the 4K Firestick, and it's actually very, very close in both single and multi-core performance to the NVIDIA Shield. So I think it's a fantastic device, especially at that price point. I do think it's worthwhile checking out. So that's all for this video, guys. Many thanks for watching. Do leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about the Fire TV Cube. Would you consider buying it for streaming, or do you still think that the Nvidia Shield is the king of kings? So do leave me a comment below, let me know, and I'll hopefully catch up with you guys real soon. Thanks.